Life is Feeling Counting the Ways, episode 30, on this December day of 2023. Hello, my name is iAntonio.media, and the phrase for the day is Embodied Cognition. Now, that little phrase I learned on one of my favorite podcasts recently, and today it's all about that and busting some myths that have to do with fasting. All right? Now, I hope you enjoy this episode. I'm just doing this one free, so you might feel the sense of freedom coming from my voice right now. But what you're about to hear is well worth it. All right. Now, as some of you might know, I did a 3-week fasting recently. That is long over. And here I am. I live to speak of it. And I'm happy to say that it went well. I promised to go into, some of how I felt about it while I was fasting. And in this episode, towards the end, we'll go a little bit into that. But today, first of all, I'm going to be talking to you about one big myth that has a lot to do with water fasting. And, it's been bandied around quite a lot by all sorts of people. I think mostly from people who don't have the balls to do water fasting. And, they have to tell themselves all sorts of rubbish. Now, the idea of embodied cognition, which is just a phrase that I like, is basically about an intelligence that comes from the body and not necessarily from the brain. It's the body deciding for itself, mostly in movements, in skills, sometimes in dancing or fighting or sports. Sometimes, our body just remembers how to do things without us having to think about them. And that is the idea of embodied cognition. Now, a little bit later, you're going to find out what that has to do with fasting. But first of all, I'm going to go straight to this myth that I have to just bust this myth, right? So, I've done this 21-day fasting, and the last time I did it in a classic way. Whereas, I just stopped eating, and the only thing I was consuming was water. Truth be told, I shouldn't say only water because that's not entirely true. Water in itself has lots of minerals inside. However, in this case, or it stands to reason, in this case, I was having water and minerals. And what are these minerals? They were basically the electrolytes, these electrolytes that you need to live, and the electrolytes that will keep you alive during fasting, or they'll help to keep you alive. And these are magnesium, sea salt, and potassium, or kalium in German. Now, again, you have to take these when you're doing a water fast. If you do not, you will die. And I actually made the mistake one day of not taking enough salt, went out for a walk, feeling all powerful as we do when we're doing a water fasting. And after day 4, you feel as if you're walking on clouds, really. I kid you not. And I went out that day forgetting to take my salt, which should be about 1.5 teaspoons a day. You can spread it over the day if you want, but you should ingest at least that. I forgot. Some strange things started happening. Like, I started, taking missteps, and I was going a little slower than normal, very careful with my steps as if I'm walking on ice kind of thing. And it was my friend who noticed. I didn't really notice so much of myself until I started paying attention to it. I was much slower in walking through the park. And, I was feeling a little bit less energetic than I usually do when I'm doing a water fast. And, that is usually very energetic. So it was strange. And the reason for that was because I didn't take enough salt. Now, another tip that I want to give you from, I did promise to keep these tips for later, so I'm going to keep them for later. Right now, it's all about breaking that myth. Now, we're going to jump out of that 21-day fast and jump into a new one that I did quite recently. And that was it ended about a month ago, and it was a 6-day fast. Water fast again, only potassium and magnesium and salt. And what I did this time, what made this one different, was I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose any muscle strength or lean muscle volume during this water fast. So I decided to continue taking my creatine, which, is my natural supplement that I use to help me with working out. I think everybody who does strength training uses creatine, and it's a natural substance, as I said, occurs naturally in meat. So I continued taking that, and I decided to also include essential amino acids into my water fasting regime. So how exactly did I do that? I got up in the morning, drank some water, then I took my magnesium after, I was awake, started my day. At some point I took my sea salt, which was, I just took all the salt at one time, so 1.5 teaspoons, or, you can do 1 teaspoon first, drink it down with some water, and then continue with your day. Later on in the day, you can take the other 1/2 teaspoon. You should be taking at least 1.5 teaspoons per day. Importantly, also with potassium, you take it also not when you just woke up or mixing it with the magnesium, but just taking it by itself with some water, and you should be fine. And that was it. Throughout the entire day, I drank about 2 liters of water. Right? When you're fasting, you're going to be constantly drinking water, and that is very important. What I also did, as I said, I wanted to increase or to maintain my muscle mass. Not really to increase it, but just to maintain it. So I decided to take the normal amount of, or the recommended amount of, essential amino acids, which was, I think, is about 2 tablespoons of the brand that I'm using. Yeah, about 2 tablespoons, or 1.5 tablespoons. And I had that about an hour before I went to training. Yes, I went to training during my water fast. So after getting that in, I went to training normally. I avoided extreme cardiovascular work. So I didn't do the treadmill at all. Well, no, actually, yes, I did do the treadmill as well. I did do the treadmill, but I tried to keep my heart rate below 140. So it was light work, right? Below 140 beats per minute, and that is fine. That was light work, and that's the only thing I did. I think I did it 15 minutes at the end of each workout. Now, remember, I am at the gym just on water and my electrolytes and a little bit of essential amino acids before, and my workout was fine. And the only thing I changed really was the fact that I was a little less intense with the cardio that usually follows up my workout. Now, another thing that I did after the workout, I also took half of the recommended portion of essential amino acids, and then continued with my water. No extra protein, no anything. Now, the reason for that is because during a water fast, your body produces 500% more growth hormone. And you might ask yourself the question, why? Why does it produce 500% growth hormone? And the answer is coming soon. But another thing that happens is that, you produce some adrenaline. There's some ketones that are surging through your bloodstream, and that gives you a nice sense of high. But, coupled with this 500% increase in growth hormone and adrenaline, the question was, why do you need that? And it's a perfectly reasonable and, common sense answer when you really think about it. Now, what your body is doing, it is trying to protect the muscle mass, the lean muscle mass that you need. This 500% increase in human growth hormone will also prevent you from losing your lean muscle mass. And that is the myth. A lot of people out there, as I said, they do not have the balls, or whatever you want to say. I don't know, whatever is politically correct these days to say. If you don't have the gumption to do a water fasting, right? You might hear things like, oh, you're going to lose all your muscle mass and you're going to faint and all of that rubbish. Yeah, it's not true. And that is the reason why I did this particular fasting for myself. Because I said, I'm going to go and train just like normal and see what happens. And I kid you not, with this 500% increase in human growth hormone, coupled with my normal training that I did, weights training that is, I turned my aerobics down a little bit to maintain a heartbeat, a maximum heart rate of 140 beats per minute. But I continued taking also my creatine, which is like 1 teaspoon a day or something like that. And you know what happened on the 5th day and on the 6th? My strength gains had gone up by 20%. And how do I know this? I document all my work at the gym. I go to the gym and, I check if I have a chest day, then I check the notes for chest. What did I do last week? What were the exercises? How much did I push? What was the kilo? What was the weight that I pushed to failure? And what is it that I could manage? And I kid you not, on day 5 and on day 6, when I did back and chest, I was pushing 20% more than I did when I was eating normally, right? Now, just let that sink in for a while, right? No food in my belly, no food at all, right? All of that energy is coming from ketones and fat. And even ketones are fat-based, right? I think it's produced in the liver from fat. So what I'm actually doing and what that actually means is that I'm giving my muscles, yes, my lean muscle mass, a gift of 500% growth hormone. They're getting some adrenaline, they're getting some ketones, so all of us feel good. And I'm continuing with the creatine, and I actually got 20% stronger in my chest and in my back exercises. So all this rubbish you're hearing out there, oh, you shouldn't fast, oh, you're going to lose your muscle. That is all rubbish, people. And what it means is that all of us can do it. So if you decide that you have the balls or the gumption to take on water fasting, get over the first 3 days of pain, and then get into the Zen zone. The Zen zone, I like to call it, because, in that space, you don't feel any pain, you don't feel any hunger pain, you just feel good, and there's a strong sense of well-being. Once you get into that zone and you go to the gym just like normal and do your normal thing, you don't have to go. If you normally go to the gym and stay there for 1.5 hours, you can just stay there for 1, because your training is going to be more effective anyway. Because the only source of energy for the same work that you had been doing and more is going to be belly fat, right? So I would recommend that to anyone who wants to try it. I have proved it to myself, for myself, right? So now I know that, I can just stop eating, right? If I feel as if I have a little too much fat, then just stop eating. It's that simple. Just stop eating and keep moving, then you must lose weight. It's very simple, right? It's very simple. And all that rubbish you're hearing out there from people, right? They are either being promoted by some food industry or whatever. Think about it, right? If people were to stop eating, you know how much money I save when I stop eat? It's unbelievable. And these days, it is normal for me not to eat breakfast and not to eat lunch during weekdays. I don't eat breakfast and lunch. I just eat dinner. I eat a big dinner, and that is all I need. Now, that is so much savings. And, there are lots of interests who don't want you to stop eating. They just want you to continue yam and get fat and spend money, right? So this whole fasting thing that I am doing is not just about the health benefits. It's not just about losing my belly fat. It's also about proving to myself that I can do without certain things. So, this whole idea of reducing consumption is very, very, very strongly political, And, that's the reason why, for example, hunger strikes work so well, because it elicits the idea of not eating elicits such a strong emotional response. And that is why hunger strikes work, right? But I'm here to tell you that it's not really that dramatic. right? You can stop eating, and on the 5th and the 6th day, you go to the gym and you're pushing 20% more than you did before. As I said, again, let that sink in. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. I think I'm going to talk about that some more again later on, because, I'm going to be doing this. I think I'm going to be including this into my whole fitness regime, maybe every 2 months or maybe 3 months, I'm just going to do a short 7-day fast. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to continue going to the gym like normal, and it's not going to stop me from doing anything at all, right? Now, as I promised, I wanted to, let you know some of the things. Now, we're going back to that first fast that I did, the long one, 21 days, where I wasn't going to the gym at all. I was just not eating anything. Water and my electrolytes, right? Now, what I wanted to emphasize is that you have to make sure that you're taking your salt. Otherwise, you will feel as if you're going to die at some point, right? So that was the first tip. You have to remember that. Another thing I wanted to tell you was that potassium, you have to take potassium as well. I do not suggest taking it in the morning together with your magnesium. Otherwise, you're going to get some kind of stomach upset. So that was it basically, right? For now, if there's anything else that I remember, I'll be sure to mention it in the next episode of the fasting series. But again, just a quick repetition of what I said. Take your magnesium and your potassium separately. Don't mix them, right? Because, you might get some kind of stomach ache, when all of these things hit your stomach at the same time, right? So that was basically it. And, I'm feeling really happy in the festive season because, now I'm not eating so much, but I'm definitely going to do another fast at the end, maybe in January or so. I'll do another one. And as I did the last time, I will continue training and I will let you know how that works out. All right, so that was it for Life is Feeling, Counting the Ways for this day, episode 30 in December 2023. And I want to, take this opportunity to wish for all of you and yours the very best for the new year coming up. And, try it. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm sharing it. And, the fasting thing, there's much more to it than just losing weight and maintaining strength and feeling healthy. But there's also an aspect to it that has to do with self-discipline, proving things to oneself, and also noticing that all this consumption that we feel compelled to do, especially at times like this, we do not have to do it. All right? And there is nothing to lose, but only to gain. Like the 20% stronger that I got during a water fast on day 5 of not eating anything, right? And it's not showing off. I'm just very happy to be able to share this with you, because a lot of people out there don't realize that, they don't realize the volume and the gravity of the rubbish that they've been fed, right? Fed food-wise and also fed in terms of information, right? Your body usually has enough energy inside it to survive for days, right? Even to do high-ish intensity sport in the form of strength training. All right, so that was it. No more rambling today. iAntonio Patterson again for Life is Feeling, Counting the Ways. Wishing you all the best, and bye for now.